Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Sean. I'm delighted you're joining us for today's ESPC community webinar. Today I'm joined by Sebastian Sieber, MVP, who will cover Dynamics 365 project operations, Planner's cooler brother. We love hearing guys have to say, so remember to join a conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESPC underscore community and our hashtag is hashtag EPPC26. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which is updated with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking Content tab at the top. Join us for our next webinar, Computer Use in Copilot Studio, the next evolution of RPA and desktop automation with EY Kalman MVP, happening this evening, February 11th at 4 p.m. CET, as part of Power Platform Week. Don't miss out. Register today at www.sharepointeurope.com/Microsoft Power Platform Week. During Power Platform Week, we've got a special opportunity for you to be part of the community experience. You can get €150 off tickets to EPBC 26 in Copenhagen, Europe's leading Power Platform conference, packed with keynotes, workshops, and networking. This offer is only valid until 18th of February and applies to new ticket purchases only. So don't miss out. Scan the QR code and use code PPWeek to secure your ticket today. After the webinar, we'll have a questions and answers session. Type any questions you might have into the chat box. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you'll be notified by email when it's available. And now I'm going to pass over to today's webinar presenter. Hello, Sebastian. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So let me share as we practiced our screen. So thank you so much for having me. As mentioned, today we want to talk about pre-ship operations, and it's basically, as I mentioned, Planner's cooler brother. So let's see what's all behind that. I hope you can see my screen. Should be fine. Before we start,
Yeah,
I
I
do
can see your
have
screen. Yeah.
perfect. Thank you so much. Before we start, I do have a little question for you. So why do the projects fail? And you don't need to pull us into the chat because I have prepared a little poll for you, and I'm going to share this inside the poll window. So you can head over to the poll on your chat window and basically sign up for five different options. So the first one is recognized, unrecognized cost and change scope. This goes a little bit hand in hand, as sometimes there is some costs on a project which we don't know during sales phase, or maybe the customer changes their mind. Happens quite frequently. There's some, and this is the first point. The second point is on missed deadlines. So, for example, we are just late with our delivery. So, very, very reasonable situation. Then, as well, unaddressable risk. So maybe risks are not tracked. The risks are not. We are not aware of the risks. Or maybe we have too many tools, which is the other point here you can vote for. So, for example, we do have severe contract data in SAP or anything else, or stored in SharePoint, but our delivery team is using Excel or something, or is using maybe Planner, or is using Project Online or Project Desktop, any kind of tool. So but there's just an offset between all of these tools, and I cannot really follow that. And of course, still resource bottlenecks. So we are just having so many good talents and skilled employees, but they're just always booked, and I not really can make the use out of my skill set in the company. So it looks like as the votes flying in, you don't miss any deadlines. It's very nice. That's fantastic. I didn't expect that. I will throw this out for the next voting. But it basically sees like that we do have the majority of the people like voting for unrecognized cost and change of scope. It will be interesting. I will kind of review that during the demo and try to basically point this out when we can add these costs or when we can see this changed scope for us. And this will risk and too many tools. And with too many tools, that's maybe then why project operations is interesting for you, because it kind of um, collects and combines a lot of these different points or these pain points here. All right. So, with that, thank you for everyone who attended that poll. It's very nice to get these insights. Um, so, what's in for you today? We are having a review on the product landscape because there are many tools, as mentioned, to cover up tasks and planning out delivery of projects. We will look into project operations. What are the use cases? Who are the personas? And as well, we will then jump into a live demo where we then hopefully show you all around the sales integration and as well a little bit of the project planning and tracking the cost of our project. So I think will be then match with your pain points here. All right, and of course at the end we do some summary and as well the Q&A as mentioned. All right. A little bit to my person. My name is Sebastian. I'm working for Promix in Germany. I'm basically responsible for everything when it comes up to technology. So all the new features, a lot of AI lately somehow is coming to my desk. So I'm looking into this. I'm also MVP for business applications, and also with project operations from like the start of when it was still project service automation. And lately, so I look a lot into AI. So this is also kind of getting the second big pillar because I really don't like to answer all of these meetings and emails and stuff like that. So I really want to work on my stuff. So I hope I can use AI at some point for that. I also have a small dog with me. Who's kind of terrifying me here on the beside my desk. He's a little puppy. I hope he's quiet till during the webinar. It's the peaks of working from home. And yeah, if you want to connect, there's a QR code sends you to my LinkedIn, but you can as well just search me there. Happy to connect as well after the session with all of you. All right. So for the product landscape, so when we think about what kind of tools we do have with Microsoft and on the Microsoft Power Platform, how to organize ourselves. So let's start with To Do. So To Do is like one of these tasks or one of these tools where we do have like smaller tasks for small groups. So I can organize myself, or I can, for example, share the tasks with my little puppy here. I don't know if you can see him, but you should not. It's hey, sit. No, he can't speak English. Anyways, so To Do is for like self-organization, organizing for smaller groups, and so on. Then we put in Planner. I did pull in the older logo by not by accident, so you will see it later. So here we are going further and manage tasks within our team. So we do have more people to manage on. We may have a task where we collaborate, and we do as well have maybe a lead who's organizing multiple teams or maybe team members. You don't just want to have some snacks, right? You could. Good. Yeah, fine. Then as well, we do have project for the web, where we then organize all of the tasks within a project plan. We add more dependencies. We do add more timeline specific information, and as well more information to the plan in it all. So it also gives you a right experience on like how to organize projects, which is pretty nice, and it's a pretty good experience because everything's online. It's kind of smooth and provides you a lot of information and rich features. And then we kind of breaking a little bit with like these online light tools when we talk about project operations, because here we are certainly adding some financials, we're adding more like more rich resource planning, we're adding integration of with the sales module. We are suddenly no longer on Teams, or for example, in our web browsers, we are just sitting in Dynamics. So there's a lot more complexity added to project operations, which I hope I can break for you today. And then, of course, there is MS Project, which is literally like the one, um, the one tool for project managers to rule everything out. We're not kind of diving into this one today, but it's like more for complex projects, and we are have our very different scope for this tool in general. But if we look at this, I already just teased a little bit. So we do have a number of features that goes like up, and is also is related to complexity. And with project operations, we are quite in the like second half of this list here. So it's definitely worth a shot to explain it, how it works, what is in there, and maybe reduce a little bit of this complexity for beginners and as well for people who are looking into this the first time. So, with that, I just seen in the chat, Project Online is also going end of life in September this year. So, yeah, this is also very important information that Project Online is then as well sitting in Planner or then maybe Project Operations. So, all of the Project Online customers may want to have a shoot on Project Operations. Maybe it could kind of help you in this situation. Yeah, for Planner, basically in general, it kind of combines all of these like to do, Planner, and Project for the web capabilities into like just Planner. So just for the wording and just for like the product scope, this is like what Planner is. It kind of brings all of these free smaller tools or more personal tools for team and project organization under just one layer, under just one product name. So it's just one SKU and everything is in there, and you can kind of use it with all of these three different feature sets. So it's very, very rich and very helpful with that one. So just for the naming conventions here. So enough about Planner. You think so? There is more Planner to come. So project operations. So what is project operations at all? So project operations is kind of the synergy between Microsoft Planner, project service automation, which was there before, and as well parts of the Dynamics 360 finance module. So basically, it combines all of these three different tools into like one business process, and we do have different deployment types with that. We do have a core solution where we have the CRM or CE part on Dynamics as a standalone. This just works without integration to the finance part. It still has all the features from the planner perspective, and as well all of the business process flows and all the functionality we see today. I'm my background is from CE or CRM, as it was called back in the days, and at this time, this was the only world I knew, and only with project operations. And okay, there's an ERP, so we can look into this. And for that, if you're already having this ERP system or you're planning to go for that, there are two more ways to use project operations. There is one integrated scenario that combines the ERP side and the CE side with dual, right? And there's as well one finance only version that's focusing on manufacturing customers. The names lately has changed. So before it was called Project Operations Lite instead of Project Operations Core, which I like the new names more. It's kind of not telling you that you might be missing out something, and you definitely don't miss out something. Because when we look at the process, basically, we usually talk about three different pillars across this whole process. So we have a before the project, a during the project, and an after the project. So let's start before. Like 90% of our projects where we're driving project operations as a new tool, which we're implementing with the customer side, there is already an ERP in place. There is no enterprise customers who not really runs an ERP at some point somewhere. And usually this integration is one of the key points of going live with project operations and making it work for each customer. So this ERP integration that can start before the opportunity, with one opportunities, with open opportunities, only with contracts. There is a lot of variance, but through the Power Platform, all of these variances and different scenarios, they're all supported, which is very, very nice and helpful for us. We are directly integrating with project operations, and basically, we are directly integrating with Dynamics 365 sales. This is what I wanted to say. And so we will see this in a demo, like how we can create better staff projects for our pre-sales and sales department as well. So how can we offer better quotes to our customers, and how can we staff our projects in the right way, in the better way, and to see gaps, to see skill offsets, to see missing resources which we have not planned in our maybe HR department to search for. So all of that will be part of the demo, and we will highlight this. So, and then if we're moving forward from like the before the project to during the project, so the project execution, we of course have all of these strong capabilities of the planner integration, where we do have the project planning part, so task creation, task assignments. We do have our time plan, timeline plan, yes, timeline, where we do see all of the different dependencies. We do see all of the controlling part, and as well we do have a connected time tracking and expense tracking inside the same system, inside the same boundaries, within the same rules, within the same constraints. So this as well then gives us feedback on like what I have planned and what is actually really happening on the field, on the project team members. And then as well, like after the project, usually very high focus on the billing. Usually what we recommend is that like after a project, you want to go back to your ERP system. So the invoice you're creating in Dynamics is usually something like a pro forma invoice. So it's not like the final invoice you send out. You can do that. Where my recommendation is, if you're already using any kind of ERP, push the data into the ERP and continue the invoicing there. And this is also how it works for the integrated deployment type with the ERP F&O finance. So there we do have the ERP integration for the sales part, and as well then after the performer billing, we pushing all of the approved times into or approved services into our F&O system. So this goes very hand in hand. If you just have a look onto the use cases and on the different personas who are working with project operations, we will see that this is very rich, but also brings some kind of challenges with us. So let's first have a look on the use cases. So first of all, we have our VP of Finance, and he wants to like look from a very strategic point of view onto the project execution, on like the profitability, on the financials of each project, but also of multiple projects at the same time for a certain period. So it's a very eagle eye view on the data to put on the right decisions, right? So it's very kind of different view than, for example, a project manager would have. On the sales manager side, they do have all of the information from the sales side, so all of these accounting sides. And then what they want to do is they want to create a good offer for our customer, for their client. And for that, we basically support and as well time and material based quotation. That means that we can import project operations, project data into our quote and send this out to the customer to directly have a certain like map to the project and to the offer. So this combines both of them very, very well. And also we see some extensions for the quote and the project contract, which is the sales order from sales module. From the PMO side, again, more like a more strategic overview on project contracts, on the budgets, for example, and as well the invoicing in general. And from the project manager side, so you can see like we are already like having like four different or like three different other people which we are having cases for before we just actually coming to the project manager. And he's the guy who's done working with, for example, the planner integration here to manage the tasks, to review the assignments, to cover the budget, to maintain the deadlines, and all of this stuff, right? So very, very late in this like schema here, we are just coming to the project manager. And this as well gets kind of complemented by the resource manager. So the resource manager then just keeps track of like the utilization, can work closely with HR for as well hiring new people, searching for certain roles, or upskilling existing people which are maybe not utilized in upcoming projects. So we can always make sure to really fit in the right resources which we already have in place. And then lastly, like the sixth person here in this like whole view is the project team member, who's actually the one who's benefiting the most all of this, because that person knows about like all of the assignments they need to take. They can report their hours back, they can report their expenses in the system, and then as well like see like what is their allocation, what is maybe asked in their project, and then really they can prove that they have done the work, and these are the services we are invoicing to the customer. And this is then really what all combined makes project operations that kind of a, for me personally, a very interesting and special tool, and very rich in terms of like what you can actually do with it once you cross like the first hurdles of the barrier to work with it. All right, with that, I think no further redo, and we start with the demo. I need to reshare this whole thing here. Give me a sec, as this is something. There we go. So this is loading. So in a moment, you should see
Yeah, I
my
see it now.
screen. Perfect. Thank you so much. Small disclaimer before we start. I already mentioned it in the pre-conversation. My demo system actually died last night. And I do have a new system, which we currently see here. There's not so much data in it, but we do have a later example. So just don't be suspicious that there is not so much data in here. I tried to rebuild everything last night, what I need for the demo. So we will look into the salt process, and then later on skip into my dying environment, which has some historical data for reference. All right, so we are here in the project operations model driven map. So this all comes with our standalone model driven map here, and we do have different areas, which is basically covering all of these different personas we just have talked about. So we have a project area, of course, we have resources, and we have sales, and then as well some settings and trainings here. So starting the sales part, we are on a quote. So we are right now as our sales persona, we do have our customer, city, power and light, and they want to do some Copilot for sales implementation right here. I already created some kind of fixed values for us. So we do have a certain not to exceed limit right here. We still have some budget from this money, from this limit here, basically from this 65,000 US dollars. We still have some open. This comes especially because I already have created some two project lines here. These project lines can cover different projects, but as well different costs across the project. So here, for example, the first one, we do have travel expenses. So by contract, we agree with the customer that we do have a fixed price for travel expenses, which is 5,000 US dollars. All of these travel expenses, if we look closer into the detail, they come in with a invoice schedule. So this come back. This come in with an invoice schedule where we do have a weekly recurrent milestone-based invoicing, and then basically we do have these 5,000 US dollars split across the lifetime of the project. And then basically have this scheduled upfront already. So this is already taking into account. Also, because we are doing Copilot for sales, we are combining our offer here not only with services from project, but also with some licenses. So I also integrate this here with some existing products here in my system. So here I'm selling licenses, 25 at this point, 30 US dollar. It cost me 22 approximately. I have no idea about license cost, to be honest. So it cost me around like 22. So there's an amount, there's a cost amount. So I do spend 550 US dollar, and I do profit like some out of that. All right. But more important is like our, in this case, first, in this another case, like second project line here, which is already hooked up to a project, which you can sneakily see here. So let's see what is all about this one. So on this one, this is actually a time material one. So on this time material quote line, I have linked up a project. I have not like any quoted amount. I have not no discount, no fee. I can do this all later. I want to include time. So here in the middle, I can like kind of define what should be included. And because I do have a fixed agreement with the customer that, for example, expenses, materials, and fees are just pre-agreed on like a fixed fee, I just exclude this here from my project. I can, of course, track expenses of my project, and this will go against the budget of the project, but it will not pay any attention into my customer-facing invoice. So this is a very nice way to structure the offer and as well to be flexible with all the agreements we do with our customer. On the other side of the customer, we as well see some our global roles, which we do have a data analyst, developers, directors, engineers, makers, team members, and project managers. Where, for example, director is non-chargeable, and I could change this basically for this project agreement. For right here, I'm just good with the global setup, and I'm good to go for this offer. But I still have no amounts here. Everything is like still empty for me. So I reaching out to my project manager and handing over like this new project. So this project right here, if it loads, yeah, perfect. This new project, we're moving this into the quotation phase right now. Um, we do have a small description. So discovery and implementation to go live with Copilot for Sales, a centralized agent tool next to Dynamics 365 Sales. So we are basically good with that. And as a project manager, my task is right now to estimate this project, to create all of this task, to plan out my tasks. I can use Copilot for that. There is a Copilot functionality here on top. I have this little drop down, and I do currently have the option to create a task plan. Let's hit those and I will explain you what happens. Based on the name and description, we are getting basically our Copilot generated task plan. Everything that happens in a task plan is actually based around Planner. So this is where all of the Planner features come in place, and we do have access to that during the task tab in just a second. While this is generating, there's also some very crucial information you can still see in the background here. So of course we do have our customer, and this will do it of a currency, which is overtaken by the quote. Our contracting unit, this is basically the department who's preceding this project implementation. This is especially interesting for global customers who then basically do have different subsidiaries, they may have different resource pools, and they as well have different cost and sales prices for that. Because the nice thing is with all of the project operations part is I can set up my custom pricing in a very, very nice way, in a very, it's actually my most liked feature that I can set up all of my pricing very, very granular based on the roles, based on markups, based on the organizational, who's then basically doing the project. As well, if I, for example, do a project with Contoso Global, but I do get people from Contoso UK to work inside my project, I have a cross-billing functionality where we do get like information out, and the cross-department billing is as well activated with that. So right here, we are just directly jumped into this grid right here, and we basically get presented with all of our tasks right here. We do have some new features that we can like expand and collapse everything. We can mark tasks as done here with this little bubble. We can, for example, as well go into the details right here. So we can see that I was lazy, that this was suggested by AI. By the way, how it looks like. So we are gathering requirements, team formation, project planning, implementation, testing is there, deployment go live. So it's pretty decent, and I can work with that. I can take it from here, and for example, make some adjustments and add some more people. I definitely need to work on maybe the duration and as well the efforts on that. I can as well add like more columns to that. And what is also new is that I can, for example, as well add some custom fields right there. So I can select here the trend, which is later important for me in my project, because this is, and I don't want to see the quick lookup because it just tells me that it's AI related. And this one is a custom field on the Dataverse where I just have basically an option set, and the trend goes either down or up. And I can basically put in my influence into that as a project manager and stack this whole project up and give my insights about how do I see this development. I can do this with various other kind of fields like date fields or custom text fields, everything what is basically needed to make my project planning experience richer and track everything what I need from my project plan. Um, for the project plan in general, I can as well use boards. So here, for example, we can create different buckets. So this is something like customer facing, and then I can basically drag and drop this in here as well, access the new this like information right there, make changes to it, and work with a Kanban style of board. Also, the timeline I mentioned before, I can use this, for example, to drag and drop all of these different dependencies between of that. Because of course, we first need to bring in the stakeholders. Right, this was like not connecting here. Kind of, yeah, my mouse is kind of like a little bit offset here. I can as well move this around, access the information right there, make changes or exactly directly from here as well. As well for dependencies, I may can show you this. There was some recent, I don't know, I wonder, yeah, I want to change this dependency type. Yes, there was some recent changes to the licensing that like the project plan free license is just included in the project operations license. So I do have capabilities like, for example, supporting finish to finish, start to finish dependency types, and also can, for example, integrate it with some kind of offset with lead and lag times over a couple of days. So this is as well very something I can use it here. For right now, I just want to plan out my project. I can assign resources from like the project team, which is currently just my project manager, which is me. I can as well just enter people, like for example, I think we have Dexter. No, we don't have Dexter. I think I have not created them yet here. So let's go in with a generic resources. So one option is just to search for these people or add generic resources if I don't know about the placeholder or don't know about like who will be then basically the guy working on it. I can specify that this is an employee or contract worker and as well the role right here. So in this case, I don't need a team member here. I need something like do we an engineer. That sounds good. And then just adding this engineer to my project team right from here. This guy will be assigned as engineer one and will be assigned to this task. I can now as well make benefit out of that and assign this engineer to all of the different tasks I don't want to do. And in the same way, I can just generate, for example, let's go with a data analyst. Makes sense. There we can go ahead with that one. So we're adding this data analyst, and let's add one more resource to see the difference in pricing then as well. So let's go, who's very expensive? Must be the director. They're always expensive and doing nothing. But he's like not chargeable, right? So let's see how this unfolds later. So, and we're adding and staffing basically our project based on this. We also have some new features like resource recommendation, or we can as well work with the scheduling board. So this is all up um, to your likes. Because of the time, I'm cutting this a little bit here because I as well want to show you some new feature capabilities. Because right now, currently in preview, if you don't use these three dots where you can organize, like for example, connecting this to a goal or work with the to work with the different other options like promoting or cutting types, you have a new option with details project operations, which is also the same one as like this little icon right here. So let's press this, and this is actually not bringing in like this little guy right here inside the app, but is also bringing in like the real form of this table. So I have direct access to this table, and I as well have access, for example, to my trend here, which I just added there, and I can just change and save this, and these changes are then published to the scheduling service and will then make their way up to my screen right there in a moment. So I do have access to like the full details, and as well can customize that, because previously it was always a pain that I couldn't really customize this kind of field. I still had the information right here of custom fields, but I not really had an option to go ahead and bring in more detailed custom fields. I hope this refreshes in a moment, and then we can go ahead. Also, what's new, I'm pretty fine with like this project plan, but if I, for example, want to go ahead and import maybe from existing projects, I can select this. And I do have one other project, which is my internal for project task templates. And here, what is happening, it basically loads out my project plan from this project, and I can see that, for example, I need all of these meetings. So I want to import them into my project plan right here. So I select those, and then basically in a moment I do get all of my meetings added. So you can see this little status bar here. Should we just take a minute? So let me, yeah, okay, let it import and we proceed with the team member. So because my team has been set up right now, I do have myself as a project manager. There are my tasks. I do have, and I have three placeholders with the engineer, director, data analyst. If I scope this up, I do then as well have my total efforts, which are already planned based on the task plan I've made previously. So if we revisit this one here, do I see my meetings? Yeah, they are just added here at the bottom. So they're just added with all the efforts which I have planned out before, and then I can just reuse everything what I have used in previous projects. So it's a very nice helper to not always create the same stuff or create the same kind of tasks over and over again. So the times of the engineer. This is a combined view of like the duration and the efforts. So based on the duration, we do have a working time model in the background, which is the calendar, which is always like 8 hours a day. So 2 days would be 16 hours of work, and I can change this. I can go into assignments, which is I think pretty underrated at the moment. I don't know if like a lot of people use it. If you use it, you can may put it into the chat because I really love this one, and I can go ahead for the engineer, and I do have like different views of that. So I can drill down in a weekly view, but I can as well drill down on a daily view and plan the assignments of my engineer to the hour. Basically, I just don't want to have this like 2 hours here, and then on Wednesday I should be in 2 more hours. Then I see, okay, he's working 10 hours in total. Then we can reduce this hours. This is not really looking very healthy, but we are good with that. And I can make changes basically to my project schedule at the same time, and as well as to my assignments, because adding those additional numbers right here is as well extending, extending my finish date of the project plan, of the project task right here. It also has a direct impact of my total effort hours. So it's a very nice way to plan the resources just in detail and just provide them more insights about that. What is new recently? They added some filter capabilities that, for example, I can switch between 7, 14, and 21 kind of views here. So if I select to 7, it's just 1 week, it's just one column. If I switch this to monthly, it's like 7 months, right? So this is how it works. Very, very helpful, very useful. So you can as well split it into your monthly or yearly view, and then just distribute the hours evenly for these different tasks and people. All right. So based on all this, we do have some resource assignments which have been created. Those are very helpful to gain the insights of like what is happening there. So let's quickly jump into this. So here we do see like how our quantities or how our hours are distributed across the views, and as well like what is unassigned. So I as well can see okay, there's still something way to do for me as a project manager. When we want to see like how this unfolds in a pricing perspective, because we have seen that we need to discover costs as well. We do see this here as well. And this is the nice thing. I do have a cost price list in the backend that has different pricing for each of these different roles. So the data analyst, the director, the engineer, myself, maybe they have different sales and cost prices, and I can see how these unfolds here, and I can see like how the budget as well spread over the time of the lifespan of the project. So I can, for example, then see like there is lot of costs for the customer, or there's a lot of revenue for myself, and I can maybe, for example, stress out that we have a high front load here, and we have low running costs at the end of the project. This is maybe interesting for my planning, and as well maybe for my financial planning. I can switch this up to sales, and sometimes my sales data is just less. Oh, it should be fine. In my previous demo data, like sometimes in certain combinations, because some people are very expensive but didn't bring so much sales revenue, the sales was actually lower than the cost price. And this is always good to know. And it's always like a real time scenario that maybe my costs are incredibly high, even though I'm using my best resources, I still don't make any margin on this project. But here I can see like as well my cells. I can see there's a lot of course, again, a lot of volume on the beginning of the project while it fades out, and I may want to correct this. But for right now, I'm good. I can go ahead, go back to my sales person who's desperately waiting for me for like the project planning. So what we're doing, we're coming back to our quote, and then as well jump into our quote line here. And what we want to do is, because the project manager said, okay, I have planned all of my project right now, and we are good to go with that schedule. This should be fine. Resources are kind of blocked, kind of available, and I want to import this. So we head over to quote line details, and then can just import our estimates from the project directly. So there's a little button here on the right. We click OK. We can structure it. We can kind of group it based on different scenarios. I'm just a fan of just throwing it in and just see all of the details we have just done on the project. Of course, there could be more steps in between. For example, reviewing the skills, reviewing the availability of resources, especially of named resources. If we, for example, know, okay, we need Manuel, we need Matthew, we need Martin, we are going to need to check with like the resource manager on the availability. For this, best way to do is a scheduling board to use that as well. Then we can figure this out in smaller teams, maybe by talking, maybe by collaborating, and actually jump on a meeting with that responsible person. On the other hand side, I can as well like plan more. I can um, remove, for example, certain people from the projects, and there we go. All right. Sorry, why do I do have my costs right here, right? I don't get any quantities. Let me see why this is the case. What did I do to screw this up? This is the peak of like having a fresh new environment. Let me just refresh this, because this one kind of looks. All right, this is the other one, but the project kind of looks fine. Oh, it has some values. Okay, it may be just like not showing in my line details. Okay, it just may is not. Oh, there are more pages. Oh, okay, okay. Sorting, guys. Let's sort by quantity, highest to lowest. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. It's- I need to change the sorting here. All right, sorry, because we just, of course, we didn't like plan everything for you. Um, we just have some small amount, but you can see we do have different roles. We do have different prices for these roles because this is what our sales price list confirms. And as well, we do have the amount, and we as well like see where this is coming from, which task and which responsibility. And then on the quote line itself, we do have a quote amount of 23,000, which is fine, which I'm good within like the not exceed limits. I can still provide a discount, for example, 20%, because I know that there is still something coming. I have not planned the whole project, so I can may apply a discount and then basically go back to my quote and hit the recalculate one here in the top. Oh, it already recalculated. It's so nice to have it just like it's not all recalculated. Total cost is not there yet. So I can recalculate everything. I can go ahead with my. I still have customer budget left. I still have project tasks to plan for. I do have still our profitability good margin with that, and I still have time to deliver that. So can you please recalculate? This is not so much numbers that you need to think that long. All right. Why this is thinking about how recalculate 10 values, let's jump into my old, hopefully working system where we do as well have a more advanced process with that. So where we do as well have some things were done within delivery of the project. So in terms of that, so this is how it actually looks like when I'm working with the project. So first of all, I'm behind with everything. There are some tasks which are already done. They are marked here as complete. There is track through. I do have a custom task budget KPI here, which say if it's at risk or off target. I do have my trend here as well. I, for example, have a custom sign off date and all the stuff. I usually do have a baseline where it can say that I'm 120 days behind my schedule. And I can, for example, use that. So I created this one in August 2025, and apparently since then, nothing happened on this project. I still call it that everything is fine, despite my finish is like very delayed. I'm even like delayed in the start, so it's may not on me fully. Duration has increased, so I can see, for example, that my timeline has changed. Maybe new scope was added, and as well, I can see like there's much more effort than I was initially suggested during my planning. So let's see like what is still overdue. So, and I can filter this out. And on this view, I see like all of these different tasks which are not have been started or not have been done. What is the initial start and the baseline start? So I can as well see the offset between what I have planned and what is now reality. Same with the finish date. So finish was like initially 1st of January 2026. And so this is now right now the finish. And we're still behind that. Initially, it was planned to be finished in August, so we are 105 days behind. So it's really, really crucial to start to jump on this. And in the same way, I can, for example, filter on a critical path and as well provide me like project tasks which are not marked as done yet, which are blocking the end date and which putting me in a severe risk. So talking about risk, we do have risks as well here in the system, and we can let them suggest AI generated by using our copilot right here. You can see that here in this example, we do have more options than just the task plan. We have risk assessment and status reports. And risk assessments basically goes through my data here and then provides me some kind of skeleton backbone thing of risks. I would not take them as granted. I would use them as like a suggestion and then work towards them and add them. What AI is doing very, very well, they're just adding a lot of context with that. So there's a lot of text with that and not a lot of certification that this is really a risk. But I would as well then use this and work it up from there. The nice thing, you can just across the whole project, you can just rerun the risk assessment multiple times. So you can run it in the beginning, you can run it one before execution, you can run it after staffing the resources, you can run it midterm, and so on and so on. So another build adds and finds more risk somehow that my delayed project might be actually delayed. So this is very helpful to start with, but still it should be a human in the loop, as Microsoft says so nicely, to as well review that in that phase. Also, what we're doing in this project is we do have a budget. So the budget is different from what we are offering to the sales side. So on the sales side, we just have something we like offering to the customer. The budget can contain everything on top of that. So the budget could be as well contain internal investments, internal costs, to a much more granular way and how we offer it and how we calculate our margin at the end. So this could, for example, as well hold expenses, while we saw before that our expenses are fixed price. And what we here need as well to sort, but because apparently there are not so many people working on this project, and basically when they are working, everything what they're doing in their time tracking is pushed against these lines here. So we do have multiple budget lines where we're tracking our costs, but as well we can track our sales in terms of amount. So we can look from a financial side of that, but as well, which is interesting for project manager tools, is on the time. So you can as well see how we're doing time related things. And here we, for example, on the task identify key stakeholders, we already have some actual amounts against, and we still have some forecast amount, and there is as well some amount variance. What does that mean? We are consuming 130% roughly of like this budget we have on this task. So there must be another task which is only consuming 70%, because otherwise we may have a problem at the end. And this is something that runs in parallel to everything else that happens on the project. And I do have this budget kind of confirmed from the beginning, and I can revise it, make adjustments to it. I can track those changes. We are here on version 2, so this is very powerful. It's quite hard, a little bit picky to set it up, because the time entries really need to match those lines here. This can be something that is a bit challenging. So I would recommend to start with a budget which just has like one or two different lines and just goes and tracks everything that goes on the project, and then from there just increase it over the time. There's also a new feature that allows to re-import the budget more dynamically. So you have more options in terms of like what you want to import from the project plan. So far it was just all or nothing. All right. There's still some more experiences. For example, for the employee to track their times, there's a new time entry calendar. This is something where I'm not sure if my system will really be happy with. No, this is our calendar. Let me jump to. I should have some demo data right here. Yes. So this is the week I want to show you. As mentioned, it's no, it's gone. Perfect. There is our week. So this is basically how it can look like. So you do have a very nice interface where you just drag and drop the time, and then you do have all the projects you're assigned available as a worker, and you can basically then select, okay, I want to book on allocate resources because this seems to be a very crucial thing. So we are hitting the save button, and then we are creating the record right here. So this is then our new time entry. I apparently worked 3.5 hours on that. I can expand and shrink it based on like changing the duration on it. I can move it around, copy paste it, all the nice stuff. And then from here, I can as well submit it and recall it and see then, for example, what was submitted or what was approved. I don't have any approved one. No, apparently my project manager is kind of lazy here. Oh, that's fine. On the right-hand side, which I like a lot as an employee, basically, is I can see like when I can go home. So after my 40 hours have reached, this is directly bounded to the work hour calendar of the resource. So it's directly integrated, and I can, for example, just filter out all of the submitted ones and just see what is in draft still. So I very nice new overview on like how to create time entries from a employee perspective, and on the other side um, for the project manager, I do have an agent. Of course, there needs to be an agent in here. Otherwise, I get like an email from Microsoft apparently. So I no, just kidding. They're really good with me. We are friends. We like each other. But here's an agent, which is really helpful. I really love this agent. So this one is for approvals, and it checks when there's an approval. It reviews it on their policy. And the nice thing about this whole policy thing is that this policy is just like a written Word document I upload to the system. So it's nothing like where I need to learn a certain syntax or I need to set up something in the system. No, it's just a certain document I upload, and I can see like they're marked, they're flagged, and needs review, and as well there is some which are ready for approval and they're not against any policies. And for example, this one has exceeded the budget, and I can basically figure this out and have a look into this. And the idea is that after some time, I just need to have to look into these red market ones, and the green ones, they just go through. All right, this is the part of the demo, and I just want to jump back very quickly for the conclusion and the QA to our presentation slide deck. Give me a second. I think we're just on time.
Yep.
So, right. So we just go through a quick summary. Basically, um, coming back to the question earlier, which I had for you, we're not really able to eliminate all of the failing projects, or we not will make all of this project work. But with preparations, we can kind of eliminate the surprise of that. So we can kind of track that earlier and basically maybe prevent it from failing at some point. So we do have very rich features with that. As you can see, I just like touched like the surface of it. It's really a lot, and I could talk for hours and hours just about the features and the possibilities you have. But essentially, what I want to highlight here, this like the whole project operations tool is not just something I plan my tasks and I plan my projects. I plan my project costs, and I plan my revenue, and I plan my resources for the future. So that's really a nice tool and very helpful extension to gain more insights about what happens in our projects. I assume I will share this afterwards, or this will be shared anyway. So there are some links where you can get started with. So I'm linking to all of the Microsoft resources, so you can pick this up and learn more about project operations. And I as well want to highlight here, sign up for the upcoming sessions here in this week. So there was one great session from EY on computer use in Copilot Studio, very futuristic feature. I tried it out myself. It's strange to see that my just the session just works for me. So very weird. And then as well, of course, George, who's then putting on some heavy tariants on Power Automate. So as well, my recommendation to join these two. And with that, I hope we have some time for questions because I
Yep.
saw there were some.
There was. The first one is for the use of timesheets should be really simple and user friendly for our engineers. Just
Yeah.
curious to know which of these two project operations or project server would you be the best solution?
Yeah, so I mean, I have seen it at the end a little bit. For project operations, we do have like this little new calendar control, which is pretty convenient. There's also a mobile time tracking, which directly runs on your phone for Power Apps. So it's basically a Canvas app that serves the same purpose. There's also an agent that can track the times for you and make suggestions, and as well there's a time integrate. So there's a lot of capabilities in project operations to make it easy, especially if you're, I mean, this is like ESPC, so perhaps you are based out of Europe and it's like not a time where you should be awake in the US. The time integrate is super easy if you don't need to track start and end dates. If you need to track start and end dates, is a little bit of a hassle, but for that, I would rather than recommend the calendar. But if you don't need to track start and end dates, and you just need to, I have worked 2 hours for client A, then the time integrate. This is like an Excel sheet, and you just push in the numbers, and you're good. I
Perfect.
hope
The
this
next
helps.
question is, what is the best way in doing resource
Mhm.
reconciliation? I may have had small bugs and errors when assigning a person directly to a project. Since the person only are assigned and not booked to the project, is there a way then using the resource reconciliation tab in the project?
Yeah, fantastic question. The resource consolation for everyone else, roughly explained, comes into place when I assign resources directly and as well assign resources through the scheduling board. So, for example, if I have these placeholders mixed up with people who I know they will work on the project, um, both ways go different inside the system. So there are different kind of data which is created, and with the resource reconciliation, I can as well adjust my project planning to what's happening on the resource planning and resource staffing by the resource manager. So uh, my personal opinion is that you want to maybe decide if you want to go with named resources, or you want to go with bookings. So with like these placeholders, this is maybe something to think about. And it will not be possible for 99% of the customers to just decide on one. So the resource reconciliation is kind of matching this, and should figure it out. The idea is, say, I would do it in a way that you want to do the resource consolidation maybe at the before you start the execution of the project, and then after a time phase like a month or so, or like half of the project, you want to do it again. This usually has the best results. Regarding your bugs or errors, I just don't know exactly what you're facing. Maybe if you can drop me a message afterwards or something, or reach out to me, I can may help more on this, because this is then very
Perfect.
specific.
The next question is, there's so much you can set up and plan here, which is fine for our big projects. Is it also usable at the same time for small projects where you do not want to go into detail so much, as this would eat up half the budget upfront?
Yes, absolutely. And especially with like what I have shown briefly, where I imported the meetings. If you have smaller structures, just set up a process that it copies your, or do it by yourself. Importing these tasks you already reused on the last project, or you can set up an automation. Um, there's an action basically in the background that copies project tasks. So you can leverage this via Power Automate, for example, to set up an automation that automates that whole project creation process for you. When you, for example, always using the same kind of small structure of your projects. And of course, you can just go ahead, throw in 3 tasks, and that's it. And that's fine. I as well use it like that for our productive scenarios, where I do have a team of like 5 people, and they have like in total maybe 10 tasks for the whole year. They're just booking against these, or they're recording their time entries against these 5 tasks, and they're good with that. So it's also very suitable for small medium businesses, or not
Perfect.
so long
Next
project.
question is, any news on the calendar view and being able to select all tasks without being assigned?
On the calendar track, this should be there for you already. There is. I can make jump back. Let me figure the screens out. I can jump back to the calendar on my side. This should be there for you. You're making a check. It looks a bit uncanny, to be honest. So if I go back to our week where we do have the time entries. Yeah, so here we do have our time entries. So let's create a new one. So, and by the way, you want to use icons at some point. So let me can I make this a little bit bigger? So I do see here my projects where I'm assigned to, and then there's like a list here, like the ones without the icon. These are the projects you're not assigned to, or they're outside of the range. So it just, this is what I meant. It looks kind of uncanny because it kind of looks different than this. So I can track on this, and I think they're working that you can as well track on that one. I thought maybe that this is already working because they're displayed, but apparently I cannot really live reviewing. Um, yeah, I cannot really click on them, so it's not. So this is perhaps what you mean, right? I can select them here, but I don't have any tasks. So what you can do is you can select those projects you're not booked on this drop down right here, select it here. You just don't have any tasks. Like maybe as well the project has no task. Maybe the change order project has a task. No. I think this is then still filtered, but you can still kind of track on this project. So this should be then fine for you in this case. Oh man, you didn't see what I've just showed.
No,
Just say
sadly.
something. Oh man, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back again. I'm sorry. I thought I was already sharing the screen. Um, sorry. In the calendar, let's again. You want to use icons. That's what I mentioned earlier. So because it shows like your old Serum 2011 web resource here. Um, you have these projects right there. So project plan 5495 whatever. You cannot select it here. That's for some reason I don't know. I think they will work on that, but you can select it here, and then you can basically create a record for this project. So this is how you can work around that. This should kind of work. So I hope this helps. But yeah, I agree that I should add some capabilities to do this as well within the tree.
Perfect. Next question is, can you please share your example of the policy document for the
Yes,
approvals agent?
I will put this into the chat because I actually
Perfect.
have it uploaded on one of my previous events. I just need to search for this. Yeah, there it is. So there is. Okay. Oh, this is opening office. So let me do it like this. I will share you the link in a brief second. I have it open somewhere. Do you know how? So who's here who's as well like running everything in like 500 tabs? This is me literally. It's not great to set up a policy document. There it is. So there is at the very bottom. So first of all, I posting into the chat. This is the learn documentation with that, and there's a link very at the bottom. I could have just shared this there with the examples, and the time entry is. Can I copy this link? This is the time entry sample for this document, so you can directly download it from there. And basically, I can show how it looks like with sharing it right this time. There we go. So this is basically how it looks like. So you can see my screen, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect. So it has a purpose, it has a summary, and then this is the important part where we do have this criteria for compliance of time transactions, and it basically just lists all of the different policies by number. So if a time industries that exceed the budget set up on the project, and there is no niche knowledge you need to know to write this line, right? So you have a very easy hurdle to jump over here with like just setting this up in your natural language here. So for example, as well, time submitted by all contractors for project data is my jam. So this is my contractor, and I would just want to have them flagged. Same, for example, we are doing on our own system and for customers. We are flagging, which is customer facing. We are flagging just out of the box. And for internal projects, we are just checking it and then approving it. And so you can as well extend this document. And as well, the nice thing, the trigger of that agent is a flow. So you can as well customize that flow and add more filters to the flow, add some custom fields to the workload, which is then progressed by the agent. So it's very well thought in this case, and it's very nice to extend. But this is like how that sample document looks like. But I also linked it. So
Perfect. The next question is, I know it wasn't mentioned, but the resource utilization board, I believe, looks at approved time from timesheets. Is there a way to configure this to look at forecast plan time from
mm,
project plans? Does this also only populate with booked work from the schedule board, or can this come directly from the plans?
yeah, there's a little reason behind why I'm not showing this utilization board a lot. Um, because of exactly what you mentioned. So there is no way in my, so what I know, what I'm aware of. If there is another way, please let me know. But I don't know any way to really configure that in a meaningful manner that I can do some forecasting with that, because this is
Perfect.
actually what I want to have it for. So I'm directly jumping on everything with the scheduling board in this manner.
Perfect. And the last question is, can you sync assigned times to the calendar of the people?
Calendar in the way of Outlook or to their time entry calendar. There is
I
maybe
think they're offline, so I don't think you can follow up.
so for the time entry calendar, there is currently no way. There is an option in the time entries grid, which I can may pull up in a second, where you are able to import this from the grid. I just need to give me a second. Show us time entry grid. Let me reshare this again. Hope it doesn't get confusing for everyone that I'm sharing and resharing the whole time. So on the time entry grid, this is how this one looks like. You basically go ahead, create a new time entry right here. Just do it. Just you can see how this looks like. Uh, looks good. Great. So this is how it looks like. And then you have the grid and you basically just fill it out. You do have the option right here to import as an employee to resource assignments and resource bookings. You can also use, for example, the copy week feature to just get anything from the past into your week, especially if you have some recurrent actions. In terms of populating whatever there is in the project directly to this calendar, for example, as a let's say as a preview for them, um, you can actually use the time entry agent, which you can set up here. So because this one is basically running, for example, on Sunday and creating you the draft entries of the resource assignments for the upcoming week. So on Monday, when you start your day, you do have like this filled out with all of your assignments for the current week. This is especially helpful if you are maintaining the resource assignments. If you have a system where like just everyone is assigned to every task, to every project, this will be a mess. For this case and the case you don't want to use this time entry agent, or it may not delivers the results you want to have, I think you would need to have an extension or any kind of customization where you then just run a weekly flow to just push this and, for example, then trigger those actions which are doing the resource assignment import.
Perfect. So that's the end of today's webinar. On behalf of ESBC community, we'd like to extend a big thank you to you again, Sebastian, taking time out today. Carry this webinar. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you for joining.
You can
And
find
sorry
this web. Oh,
for the
sorry.
yeah, sorry for the screen sharing thing with the calendar
I know
earlier.
it's
I
all good.
just saw it in the chat that everyone like, I can't see your screen. And I was like, oh yeah, presenting here.
You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/research center. Thanks again for all of you joining us today, and hope you join us again soon. Take care.